Hello and welcome to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller edition. I'm your host today, Liz Fabian from the Center for Collaborative Journalism. Mr. Mayor, good to see you again. Now, as we're taping this in mid-October, we're still in the midst of the government shutdown. And I understand that Macon is not expected to be reimbursed for the federal subsidies of up to about $400,000 per month for the flights at Middle Georgia Regional Airport. And I know that y'all have agreed to go ahead with the flights for at least a month, but how long do you think the county can foot the bill without the promise of a federal reimbursement?
Well, for right now, we'll take the federal IOU. I'm not worried about getting reimbursed. It'll happen in due time. Right now, the main thing is making sure we keep the airport open, operational, with no delays, and so far it's been so good. We'll take a look at that on a month-by-month basis, but I would expect probably in the next 2 weeks we'll be out of a shutdown anyway, so it'll be a moot point. But I don't think we stand to lose any money. We're just fronting the money right now, and we'll see what happens at the end.
Now, are there any other funding issues that the county needs to be monitoring when it comes to the shutdown? Are there any other federal funds that you expect might not be forthcoming as quickly?
Well, I think there's been a general consensus of folks that may be worried or concerned about payments coming in from your nonprofits and from your federals. But for right now, Macon-Bibb County, we're solid. We'll address anything as a case-by-case scenario, but right now it's business as usual in Macon.
Of course, the big news was you just recently broke ground for your guitar-shaped executive terminal at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport. What can you tell us about the timeline for that project and for the runway extension?
So the timeline for the FBO right now is looking at about 14 to 18 months. We anticipate that probably January 2027 to have that open and ready for business. Right now they're moving the vault and preparing everything to do. We're going to underground on the utilities there, so it'll be more attractive. Sheridan Construction was awarded that contract, and of course they've got some fabulous designs that they're got to work with. It's a mass timber project too, so people are very excited about that, and it's getting very good exposure. So we're looking at making sure that we continue to lift that up where we can, but it's a whole package we got at the airport. You mentioned the airport expansion. We're working on the process now of expanding the runways, and I'm already starting to working out some diagrams for the future runway after that. So right now we're going to go to a certain amount of feet, and then we hope to go to Plan B, which is an additional amount of feet there. It may require building a bridge or building something out there as well. So
you mean over Avondale Mill Road?
That is correct. Right now we're going to do it in such a way where we get to 7,100 without having to do that, but certainly the next phase is somewhere around 8,000, 8,500. So we'll have to go a little bit further, but you know, progress is one of those things that we look forward to, but it does come with its challenges, and we're ready to take those challenges.
Well, I guess if Hartsfield can land planes over 475, we can land them over Avondale Mill Road?
No problem.
Or take off from there. You mentioned the mass timber. Can you explain a little bit about what that is for people who may not know what you're talking about?
So we want to make sure when they go inside the FBO that you see something spectacular, and we also want to make sure you use good Georgia wood. So 70% of the wood, which is a large timber display basically, as you can imagine, that wood put together in such a way to help our Georgia timber holders. It's also carbon friendly as well, so it's very it's something we want to promote a lot more of, and it looks good. It's good for the environment. It shows very well, and we want to incorporate that. You know, as a matter of fact, I've already reached out to them. I'd like to see some of that in the new arena and convention center as well. I think it adds some ambiance to there, but it's also it's environmentally protected, so that's great as well.
You also recently announced that PBK Architects will be designing the new arena that'll be going up in the parking lot of the Coliseum near 2nd Street. What are you most excited about that project specifically?
Well, first of all, to break grounds. I'm more excited about getting it off, and I think we're looking at a potential groundbreaking of next June or July, which is great, with a completion date in 2 years from that. So certainly we have an outdated, antiquated Coliseum Centerplex, need to address that. We've got some real concerns about losing events and you know, yearly things that we have there with GSSA and otherwise, so we have to address those problems. A lot of taxes come through there, a lot of economic impact, but more importantly, a lot of small businesses are propped up with events that happen there. Without a new arena, those small businesses would go away, which means jobs go away, and which means people's standard of living would go away. So I'm more, you know, excited about the possibility of creating and growing that as well as maintaining as well.
Now, Chris Hogan would like to know, besides the Macon Mayhem hockey team, are you considering other semi-pro basketball or arena football teams for that arena?
Well, I'll just say we've had a lot of conversation in the background about expanding our sports here in Macon-Bibb County. We want to get the basic designs done now. We have a lot of people to take into consideration. You know, we have the school system in Bibb County that has some relationship with Georgia High School Association. They also conduct their graduations there, so it's important that the school system be involved with this project. It's important that they have some input there because there's a lot of breakout sessions they have, but quite honestly, that they would have nowhere else to graduate but for an arena or a coliseum without doing their own building or without graduating on their high school football fields. And of course, this can be hot in the summer around May or June when you're graduating. So new sports could be a potential, but we want to maintain what we got now and expand on that. And I think we're looking at multiple things that's going to create more activity in that area and allow us to work together with each of our venues.
I know the design is still being worked out, but Chris also wanted to know what kind of hospitality rooms would be included in that arena.
So there'll be plenty of hospitality rooms. We're looking at we're looking at other venues right now. We've been looking at those. We're going to continue to go and look at those places. We want to make sure that we have a lot of premium there, premium for businesses, premium for the experience that people have, but also we can use this for multi-purposes. I used to have the monument room that everybody went to for certain events. Certainly we can have a place like that there. There'll be some rentals within the facility themselves that we can have. Also some pre and post game types of things. So plenty of hospitality there, plenty of chances for people to promote their businesses. Ingress and egress is important, but the overall fan experience needs to improve in Macon-Bibb County. And that starts from the time you pull into the driveway to park to the time that you get your adult beverage or your soda or your food or your snacks, and of course enjoy whatever atmosphere we got going on.
Of course, the future of the Macon Coliseum is still kind of being worked out, whether that will stay as an auxiliary facility. But what happens with the Wilson Convention Center? Does that break off from the Coliseum if it's raised, or?
Well, that's a good question. I think right now we're waiting on some studies to come back. It could be that all of it goes away and just have the hotel there. We may build additional space onto the arena to accommodate what we're looking at. But keep in mind, we're going to a much larger facility across the river at the old Ramada location. So we'll have a large hotel convention center with rooms and breakout rooms over there as well. So we want to make sure we do everything in a right manner. We also have the East Bank project just across the way there, so we're looking at how that's going to connect to everything. So right now it's still we're going to wait to see, taking a wait to see approach and do what's best for the community in that area.
Of course, we have some questions from 13 WMAZ's Raymond Tubb, a lot about the development that you're talking about. And you just mentioned the East Bank. Is there anything new on that project?
It's always something new. Like I mentioned before, I think we've mentioned this the last 6 shows. When the national park gets in the news, okay. People are calling and ringing the phone off the hook, and then when it's not in the news, people kind of take a back seat. But really, the Secretary of State office is moving from one location to the other location in Bibb County, and perhaps they've already moved there. We'll probably be taking that building down. It gives us more of an opportunity to add a new industry there. I say industry, maybe new tourism, hotel, retail, restaurant. That type. We do have restaurants that want to operate there, which is a good thing. Certainly got some residential needs there and some hotel needs there as well. So it's going to go the same way as the arena goes and the hotel convention center, all on that same timeline, probably the next 18 to 24 months.
Oh, a demolition, another January 1st?
Well, I'm not sure if we'll use explosive for that, but it is a very large building. And right now we're getting everything out of there, making sure we remove all the asbestos and all that information. And we're going to keep some of the things that are in there too we can use for other departments that we have in Macon.
Well, there's so much development going on. We're going to continue to talk about projects in Macon-Bibb County after the break, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Central Georgia Focus, the Ask Mayor Miller edition, where we're talking about Macon-Bibb County development with Mayor Lester Miller. Now, Raymond was also asking about Mid-City Square. That was that development maybe around Pine and 2nd Streets there. Anything happening on that, or has that all been turned over to in the swap with the hospital?
Well, I think all of the above. I wish I could tell Raymond everything I know, but unfortunately, he's not the mayor. He can ask the questions, but a lot of times I have to say no comment. So this is one of those situations where he's going to be very excited about what we have planned there. I say we as a community. Adrian Health Navicent's doing a wonderful job of doing something in that in conjunction with multiple people. So I think you probably can expect some announcements coming soon on that area there, as well as some announcements coming from us on as we get down to where the site used to be there at the Macon Health Club and everything else we got going on that. So we're getting that time frame now that we talked about before, that couldn't really talk about things or do things over there, but we're getting into the end of the year. We can start having more conversations about what that may look like in a couple of years, right across from Rosa Park Square that looks beautiful today, as well as all the other development we got going on there at City Hall.
Well, Raymond actually wanted to know about Rosa Park Square
Did he really?
too. I
Okay.
understand that there's supposed to be a ribbon cutting by the end of this month of October. Do you see that coming online by the end of the month?
I think there's a ribbon cutting soon, be very soon, in the next couple of weeks, I can imagine. But I get the chance to watch them do the work every day since it's right outside my window at City Hall. The shades are looking wonderful. The concrete's getting done. We've got some grass coming in there. People are very excited about it. You can kind of feel that going on, and we've been a long time coming. So I do think in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll have a ribbon cutting there. I plan to be there for that ribbon cutting. So we'll see how everybody's schedule works out. And I think that's one that we can check off the books. It's going to be used for many, many years to come. And I know we're working on something hopefully special with Rodney Davis coming around to Veterans Day as well. So looking forward to getting those monuments back over there and getting those things to honor him back to the part that he was at and recognize him as well.
Now, behind City Hall, you've got the D.T. Walton Lofts going up and the parking deck. Do you have a kind of timeline on that? I see the cement columns are in there already.
Yeah, they give us timelines, and they get worried when I start talking about timelines already. But next fall, we hope that to be well close to opening up. They've already poured concrete, so you've got the first couple of levels there done, and of course the crane is still there, so the big red crane is still there. They're going to do the parking lot first, parking deck first, and then they'll start with doing the lofts that they have there, the townhouses, and then looking at retail as well there. So it's coming along very nicely, ahead of schedule. Weather's been very cooperative. We hadn't had much rain. Ben Jones, thank you for that, or not thank you for that, whichever way you're looking at it. But things are looking well over there, and we're right on schedule.
Of course, the city's over 200 years old, and there's crumbling infrastructure, and we know that there was a pipe break around Mulberry Street that the Water Authority had to deal with. Now, the Macon Water Authority recently punted their rate increases. Do you have any thoughts on that? They did not pass any rate hikes.
No real thoughts. I try to stay in my lane as far as their rates are concerned, because they know all the information that we don't know. We're looking here, being Monday quarterback. I think they do have some issues there. There's been some talk about potential most. I think that somebody recommended they can't do that in Macon-Bibb County unless they change the law. Not going to be able to do a most. Macon-Bibb County only gets 2 local sales taxes for our division. We have the OLOS and the SPOS already. To have a most, you'd have to get rid of one of those, and I don't think anybody wants to put a 100% tax increase on them for one of those to disappear. However, I know we're still working with them as partners. We're going to work through these issues, and any assistance we can provide to help them through the process, we're certainly willing to do that. But as far as the rate increases, we still have some of the best tasting water. We still have some of the least expensive water that you can find anywhere in the state of Georgia. And things continue to increase as far as prices are. People's salaries increase, and certainly you got to be ways to make that up, and the only product they have is to sell water. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have some 3 to 5 year plan where they would gradually increase the rate, but they were unable to reach an agreement and went with no increase at this time.
And I know that was Senator David Lucas that was suggesting that municipal option sales tax. But now, like you said, that's not really feasible because we have the other 2 sales tax, and now the school board is asking for another. So at what point are we tapped out on the sales tax?
Well, there's some questions going on now, and we're in election season, right? Next year's an election season. There's a lot of senators, a lot of House members, a lot of state offices running. We've heard everything from elimination of property taxes to eliminating the state income tax. Well, you have to replace that revenue some kind of way. And, one school of thought is to do more of a sales tax and to increase the state sales tax to make up for some of that. You do that, then you have to reduce the local sales tax. So you get in a situation there of pulling from the locals to help the state out and increase the tax burden on people. So certainly the eSplosh has come up as very valuable. The eSplosh is. The school system's going to do their improvements, right? They got to improve their technology, their books, their buildings, their HVAC units, their police there, the campus police. That costs money. And you have to decide whether you want to use your property tax dollars to your ad valorem taxes, or whether you want to use 70% of money from somebody outside our community in the 1 penny sales tax. So the one that's going on right now is expiring, right? So we'll have assumption of that 1 penny sales tax. Nothing new here in Macon-Bibb County. We've done it for 20 years. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. That's on that ballot as well. Early voting is already beginning this week. We'll see what happens in 3 weeks on the passage of that.
Senator Lucas and Don Druitt have both suggested revamping the Water Authority and removing one of the county representatives. Do you think that that authority needs tweaking, or would you agree to lose one of your representatives on there?
Well, I mean, I don't get up every day wondering about how many appointments I get. Whatever the law says I'm going to have, I'm going to have. If it's 2, if it's 3, if it's 1, so be it. I know we have to work together in a partnership. If the higher-ups think that we need to lose a seat, then of course we lose a seat. If they think we need to have a seat, then of course we'll have another seat. Right now I'm just concentrating on making sure that we're able to provide good quality water to our citizens in Macon-Bibb County, fix some of the stormwater issues we got, and continue the great economic development we have in our community. And the only way to do that is making sure that we have our utilities and our resources like our water available to all the businesses that locate here.
Seems like folks on either end of us are considering these data centers, and that's a big drain on water. Is there anything in place that we need to protect our resources for Macon-Bibb, or have you had discussions about that?
Another hot topic issue. I was meeting with people on the governor's team, meeting with Georgia Municipal Association, meeting with members of AskCJ recently. Data center surveys and polls have been all out there. They're coming to Georgia. They're going to regulate them. We don't have one in Macon now. I'm not saying we'll never have one. Of course, one has popped up now potentially in Jones County. You've got the Google one over in Monroe County, which I think is going to end up being very harmful to them over a period of time. And you got the one that may pop up in Twiggs County. They're looking wherever they can go. Unfortunately, I think they're taking advantage of smaller places that are not very well developed that need the money. And it's a nice little carrot that they dangle in front of you. I would never be comfortable putting them in Macon while I'm here unless it's in a commercial area, not near any residential areas.
And of course, we've already been alluding to the legislative session is almost here upon us. We're in mid-October already, and the holidays will be here before you know it. Are there any big issues other than data centers and things that you expect at the Capitol?
Well, there's a lot of issues I expect. A lot of tax revenue. Like I said, generally during election year, they want to get in there, make their points, promote their policies during election season where people think where they want our government to go. They get out a lot early. They can't raise money during election time. So you got to believe they want to raise some money to get elected, and they can't do that while everything's going on. So you'll see a bunch of bills, probably not a whole lot of things passing this year. I do want to, make sure that we focus on some local issues. I'm very much excited about, and I hope they'll take us up on the senior exemptions. I think it's a fabulous idea for giving our seniors 65, 75, and 85-year-olds substantial tax breaks, or completely eliminating the taxes for them. We passed that unanimously here with the commission. I hope that they take that up, they drop the bill, and we get that done this year so the governor can sign it, and we can go ahead and put that on for a referendum next November with the governor's race.
Well, again, we're leaving issues on the table going into break, so when we come back, we'll continue to talk about politics, so stick with us. Thank you for staying with us for this Ask Mayor Miller edition. We were talking about the state legislature. There's also that proposal that the commission passed about considering a third term for the mayor. Do you think that will resurface?
Again, I don't wake up every morning wanting to know what's going to happen for potential third term. I also believe that it's about equal terms with commissioners, not a third term for Mayor Miller or anybody else. It's as you travel around, look at the local delegation that we have here in Macon. Every single one of those local delegation members represent another county, don't have term limits. So if you want to treat everybody equal, then of course you remove the term limits completely on that situation. So they got to make that decision what's right for them. I know what some early polling has shown that people believe a third term is something that we should have here in Macon because it gives you time to finish projects, gives you time to work with everybody. You don't have everybody leaving at one time. Ideally, back when they created the charter, we can all second guess ourselves, they would have staggered their terms out. We'd have some running countywide every 2 to 4 years, so everybody didn't. But honestly, they're spaced out now where you have people that have various years. You got 3 different sets on the commission right now that expire at different times as far as their term limits is concerned. So I don't think that's a real issue. But the bottom line is we're going to do and respect whatever the legislature wants to do. We passed it for the county by a super vote. 6 people voted for that. 2 of those have their own interests potentially for running for mayor, and you had one person that voted against it that was just new and said, I'm just new, don't know enough about it. So I believe the people have already spoken in Macon. We have an elected democracy here. The majority of people on that commission voted and supported it, and they've already told the legislator, this is what we want done. So we'll wait to see what they do about that. Whatever they do, we're going to move forward regardless, and I'm going to continue to represent Macon-Bibb County for as long as I'm here.
Another question from Raymond. The State Ethics Commission recently levied a fine against you because you had a controlling interest in an organization that funneled money or contributed to campaigns. Raymond was wondering, what will you say, like in campaigns, or if people approach you and might question your integrity about that? Yeah. What do you say?
Nothing really to say. I mean, the last time that happened to a candidate, he got elected, he got a governor deal back in the day. Every political person who aspires for a political position has things like this happen. Bottom line, just read the facts. The findings of the facts very clear, nothing inappropriate. They got copies of my checks, they looked at everything. The fine was paid the very next day, out of campaign funds, by the way. We reached out to people connected with the ethics board in the very beginning, asked them if we could do this. They said, yes, you can do this if you don't have a controlling interest. Reached out to a lawyer. The lawyer says controlling interest is 50 plus 1. No one in their right mind believes that if you have a 25% or 30% ownership in a business that you control that interest. I don't think anybody, ask any lawyer, any person, you're gonna let somebody that has a 30% interest control your business. So just read the facts. I don't believe all the hype. That's old news, happened over a month ago. But honestly, you know how they found out about this? They found out about it because I filed my disclosure. I put down that we wrote this check to this company, and guess what? That company put down they gave the money to another person, and that's how they knew about it. Everything was open, transparent, and they reviewed the checks. There's no criminal wrongdoing there, no intent. As a matter of fact, this is a civil case, civil in nature, and I never filed an answer in the case at all. They did it, several months went down the road. We decided it was in the best interest for our city and for myself personally, pay the $5,000 citation that they have, civil amount of money, avoid paying $50,000 attorney's fees over the next 2 years and going through this. They even admit themselves that their definition, they have no definition of controlling interest on the ethics board. So you can't find it anywhere. Maybe they're trying to establish new law, but I think that that's just something you deal with as a politician sometimes. I put it behind me, they bring it up, I'll just hit them with the facts. That usually is what I need to do.
Well, why use like a third-party organization instead of just like openly supporting whatever candidates you support?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Number one, you can only give $33,300 to a particular candidate. Whereas through PACs, I mean, you look at, there's several races here. If you really want to dig into that, if he really wants to know that information, look at some of the races that were run here. There's a couple of candidates who are now running their mouth about my ethics case, when they, in fact, got $200,000 and $300,000 from nonprofits, from privates, from different state funds that were set up and PACs that were set up. That's just the nature of the beast. It's just show me what the rules are, we'll follow the rules. And I think, quite honestly, that's why you don't. People are saying, well, I didn't know people were spending money on me because I had nothing to do with it. Exactly, right? You can't tell them. When people send out those mailers on your behalf, you can't coordinate with them. That's why you use a third party to do that. But there's different funding elements there that you can do. I can only give $3,300 to a particular person, whereas you can give $5, $10, $20, $15, whatever the number is, $30,000, $40,000, but you can't coordinate with that candidate. You do it on their behalf because you share a common interest with theirs. And that's why they were doing that. It's all open and transparent. Filed everything electronically. I signed it myself. We gave them the checks. You know, case closed as far as I'm concerned.
We have a question from Yves Bergon, who wants to know your thoughts on natural gas distribution. Why are distributors allowed to have monopolies and they can price gouge and have higher rates instead of letting competition allow lower rates? I know that's not a local issue, but any thoughts on that?
I mean, competition is always good. I think I get a notice in the mail at one of my businesses every year and says you want to choose this company, this rate, that rate. So I do think that there's some chances there. But that's regulated by state and federal entities as far as antitrust and things like that. Not within the ability of a mayor. So I always want to be fair and competitive. And I think by having everybody get a shot at that, that's the way you do it. So I think you can take that up with probably our federal folks as well to check those boxes. It's something the mayor's not going to do.
One quick question. I see Oktoberfest came up. That's a brilliant little thing. Who came up with that?
It wasn't me. It was somebody a lot smarter than me, but it's always something that's good. And, we are in that time of the year, so it's going to be great weather and have a great time.
At Lake Tobosofke, that's the Tobo in the Oktoberfest. So it's coming up at the end of the month. Always a lot going on in Macon-Bibb County. You can always keep up with it with the Hub and on their Facebook page. So thank you very much, Mayor Miller, for joining us. And thank you. Remember, you can always be part of the program by emailing questions to mercerccj@gmail.com, and we'll get you some answers next time.